Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and appreciate the opportunity. As Chairman Olmstead said, we have been working together, House and Senate caucus, for several weeks now on one element of the overall budget proposal. And my job today here is a couple different things, but first is to continue to signal the efforts of what the tax reform package and how that fits into the overall package. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you know the budget proposal in front of us will help a lot of Ohioans. $1 billion more for K-12 education. I know I said on our floor speech when the budget was on the Senate floor, $717 million we combined, House and Senate, added to the K-12 funding formulas. And relatively the same number of students will attend our public schools this fall as left this past spring. So relatively the same number of students, but yet $717 million more going to our public school districts in the state of Ohio. That's new money. It's not a shell game, and it's not rhetoric. It's new money. There's also health reform continues in this budget. We have nearly $4 billion in overall funds going into continue our reform of health care in this state, and more to come, obviously, with bills pending in both the House and the Senate. A new higher education funding formula that's going to drive in both our community school, our community two-year schools, and our higher education institutions in Ohio, drive students to receive course completion and degree completion. Will absolutely, in my opinion, change the workforce in the state of Ohio. The state that's closest to a 50% marker that we're going to place on completing courses and degrees in Ohio is Texas at 10%. We are going to be out front leading the nation in higher education. Workforce developments and other initiatives that are sprinkled throughout this entire budget. This is a package. The budget proposed as the governor worked on the House and that worked on the Senate is a package to keep Ohioans working and continue to put more Ohioans to work. Now, what's the results of that? I'm sure many of you probably had a chance to read some of the headlines early this morning. New jobs figures were announced. It's the third Friday of the month. We all look for those new numbers. Ohio, where did we stand? 32,000 new jobs created in Ohio last month. Number one in the country. Doesn't it feel good to be number one? 32,000 new jobs in Ohio. The next closest state, our competitors, we're in a race here, and we're competing with other states to retain and create jobs in this country. The next closest state's Texas, and we beat them by 13,000 new jobs. So, ladies and gentlemen, my contention to you is that since January of 2011, and the new jobs created in the private sector here in the state of Ohio are significant to who? They're significant to those Ohioans and their families that are now working as a result of the policies that we were a part of in the previous budget and the policies that we are going to be a part of in this particular budget. Frankly, we agree on a lot of things, and I know your difficulties, like ours, in talking to our constituents back home is, well, what's the difference between state and federal government? Because all folks see on TV is the rhetoric about partisanship and the rhetoric about debt and the rhetoric about nothing happening. And we work together in this state in a large majority on passing public policy and financial and fiscal policy in the state, working together across party lines. In fact, one of our colleagues, I read her quote about this particular tax reform package we're talking to you about today, $2.6 billion in personal income tax cuts over the biennial, as Chairman Olmstead mentioned. And so I quote, "We should be focusing in what we know will lead to stronger economy, a stronger economic recovery in our state, and putting dollars in the pockets of middle-class Ohioans, investing in our schools and our communities." End quote. We agree. We absolutely agree. Both parties, majority, minority, I think, in the state of Ohio, Mr. Chairman, can agree we should be focusing on what we know will lead to a stronger economy, a stronger economic recovery for our state of Ohio, and putting dollars in the pockets of middle-class Ohioans. End quote. From a legislative member in the minority party in the Ohio General Assembly. Now, we may disagree on how you get there, obviously. We may disagree that this tax reform package that we're presenting to you today is a, quote, rebate for the rich and a rip-off of the middle class, end quote. That I personally disagree with, and I think many of you probably will. And why is that? Well, because of the elements I just mentioned. $1 billion more for schools is not a ripoff of our schools in the state of Ohio. The $4 billion plus for healthcare and healthcare transformation initiatives and provider payments in the state of Ohio is not a ripoff to the lower income, middle income, or any income Ohioans. It's providing the dollars that's needed for those most in need.